He is Red Death Daniel Garcia.
Yes, sir. We're here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Man, I have a lot of questions. Let's start with the first one. And it was, what made you want to take bumps your whole life?
I've just always been a fan of wrestling. It was something that I always grew up watching and something that I always been a fan of. So I decided give it a shot. There's a local school about 5 minutes away from my house, so that's where I started training.
All right. What match made you want to become a wrestling fan? Was there anything specific? Any kind of wrestler?
It was a local show. It was Johnny Gargano versus Anthony Nese at a local Empire State Wrestling show that I was there for. And that was the match that made me feel like I could really become a wrestler.
All right, awesome. One thing that really takes away from any wrestler compared to you is the way you wrestle. You're very technical, very Minoru Suzuki type of level, a little bit of strong style. Did you always want to wrestle like that, or is that the way that you chose to wrestle?
Yeah, when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to be a somewhat like technical wrestler. Every time I would make a wrestler on the video game or be playing with the little toys, my guy was always like a striker and a submission wrestler. So it was always something that I was kind of drawn towards since I was a kid. And now that I'm able to do it and really excel at doing that style and not have to change or sacrifice who I am, my vision is myself as a wrestler, it's really fulfilling.
How'd you get the name Red Death?
It was a name that was recommended to me by Andy Williams, the butcher from AEW.
All right, and why'd you keep it? You liked it? You liked the name?
Yeah, it was just something I tried out a few times, and the crowd really latched onto it, and it was something that became really part of my identity and that people seemed to be drawn to, something very marketable. So it was something that I just kept and ran with, and I still run with today.
No, yeah, it's pretty badass. I love it, and I love how you come out with the red cloak and everything. It's pretty badass. So,
Thank you.
tell me how the independent scene is. Tell me how is it being a wrestler starting out to where you are now?
It's a struggle. I mean, it's something that not a lot of people get to do. Not a lot of people get to be professional wrestlers, and not a lot of people get to excel at being professional wrestlers. It's something that takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work, a lot of hours and drives and bumping and getting hurt, time away from your family and friends, missing a bunch of things, and not really knowing if you're going to have a payoff for it. And not many people do have a payoff for it in a grand scheme. For me, the payoff is just being able to wrestle. But for a lot of people, they never get like the big opportunity to really make a lot of money at wrestling, which I think a lot of people view as the payoff. So it's just something that's a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication in order to even get minute success in professional wrestling.
Awesome. And you finished school, right? As you were wrestling, you also were finishing school?
Yeah, I just graduated last year.
Awesome. How was that? How is it now having a more free type of schedule instead of, going to classes and getting the diploma?
It feels good. I mean, I'm still pretty busy. I still have like a real job like while I'm wrestling, and still have to take time out of my day to be social with my friends, my family, and work out and train and eat clean and do all the things that a professional athlete has to do on top of having a regular working schedule,
Yeah, because I'm in college. I'm also balancing a job and then also working on hobbies. So I totally understand. And again, I applaud you for doing professional wrestling, getting a job, finishing college. Not a lot of wrestlers can say they did that. So it's really awesome.
Thank you.
Of course. So tell me, 2020 was a pretty interesting year for you. You were on AEW, you were on NXT. People rarely don't talk about your match at 205 Live with Drew Gulak. I remember when I first saw that, I was very excited to see it because I thought you both have a very similar wrestling style. And, circumstances were different. That match could have been amazing in Independence or anywhere outside. How did you feel working on 205?
I was super early on in my career when I did 205 Live. I think that was 2019, so maybe I was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years into wrestling. And to be able to get an opportunity on such a big stage, even how little of that match might seem to people, having that big of an opportunity and being able to put that on my resume a year and a half into wrestling was a really big deal to me. And especially against someone like Drew Gulak, who I loved on the independent scene. And then once he got signed, I figured, I would never be able to wrestle this guy for at least in the next couple of years, while I was still grinding it out. So able to have that moment with him and to be able to wrestle him was a really cool opportunity for me.
That's awesome. And yeah, I watched a lot of your matches, almost all of them. I watched all of them, and there's so many amazing matches. One of my favorite was the one against you versus Blade. How you guys literally went out of the ring into the audience to fight that. How was that match for you? That one was by far, out of all the ones that I've seen, the most entertaining one, because I feel like that one had more story.
That match meant a lot to me. It was something that was the summer that I came back from injury. So to be able to share that ring and share the opportunity with one of my trainers, somebody who's been a big role model to me and almost like a father figure in wrestling in some ways, it meant a lot to be able to have my return to Limitless against him. And it's always a learning experience whenever I get to wrestle him. And I finally beat him too. I made him tap out, which was a cool notch under my belt and something that I kind of get to carry with me for the rest of my career.
Awesome. And you talked about injury. I know it was the car accident. Can you talk to us about that? How was it, rehabbing, getting back into shape? And obviously, you look 100%. You look better than ever. The way you're wrestling, the way you're holding so many championships, and we'll talk about that. How has that been? How has rehab been?
It was hard rehabbing. I mean, you have 2 broken legs. I think it's hard to rehab 1 broken leg, let alone 2 at the same time. It was extremely difficult. One of the most mentally and emotionally and physically challenging things that I've ever been through. So to be able to go through that and I don't want to say come out on top, but to still be able to achieve what I achieved when I honestly shouldn't even be alive, it really means a lot to me. And every day is a blessing. Every day feels great. I'm very lucky to be alive from that day. So it's just it's such a difficult experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody, and that I'd hope I never have to go through again.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Can you just give me a little bit of like the mental health side of it? Again, being wrestling, being something you wanted to do your whole life, having that happen, a lot of people, usually aren't strong enough. A lot of people would give up after experiences like that. Some people lose hope. That's something that you obviously didn't have, or maybe you had an amazing support system. Can you give any information on that?
I have a great support system around me. My friends, my family are what keep me sane every single day, and I couldn't have done it without them. And the mental health, I felt like I was on a roll at that point in time. Had a really full schedule, and I had a bunch of really cool things coming up that I was really looking forward to. And they kind of just have that all taken away from you in the worst circumstances possible. It stunk, It felt like I was never going to recover. It felt like I was never going to be able to reclaim what I was missing, like what I missed. It felt like I was never going to get it back. I was finally making good progress in my body, and I felt like all of my gains and all of the strides that I made in order to get in really good shape were kind of going to disappear. But luckily it all worked out, and I feel like I'm doing better than ever in every single area.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So now that you're in the independent scene, you're holding so many championships. I honestly don't remember all of them. I know you're holding the Limitless Championship. I know you're holding another title. Can you tell the people how many titles you're holding? Because I don't actually know the number. I know it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm holding 3 titles. I'm holding the Limitless Wrestling Championship, the C4 Wrestling Championship, and the Empire State Wrestling Championship.
All right. And you beat Christian Casanova for the Limitless Championship, right?
Yeah.
How was that match? That was a farewell match to Christian Casanova also, because he got signed. How was that match, having the whole emotional audience and everything, even the company?
Yeah, the match was it was a difficult match. He's somebody who is a very good friend of mine, and it's no secret. Everybody knows that we're good friends. And he really wanted to follow in the footsteps of Anthony Green and to be able to go get signed and just leave the title there. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I think that a true champion goes out on their back. You should not leave a promotion until you lose the title. And I was going to ensure that happened, and I did.
All right, awesome. And now that you are the champion, everyone's, there's a target on your back. Everyone wants it. Is there any person that you think is worth giving a chance to hold the title, to give a title shot?
I really want to wrestle Wheeler Yuta. He's the independent wrestling TV champion, and I feel like even though I don't have the IWTV Championship, the Independent Wrestling Championship, I believe that I'm the true independent wrestling champion. I hold 3 titles in 2 countries and 3 different territories. I am the real king of independent professional wrestling, and I don't need a championship to prove it, but I want the championship to prove it.
I love that. And no, I totally agree. Again, no one is better than you. And when I'm watching all your matches, all I see is what you do in the match because it's insane the way you handle yourself with submissions or quickness ability. It's amazing to see actual wrestling in that because we don't usually get that. We usually get, back in the day, it was bigger guys doing bigger things. Now it's a lot of a different system in the independent scene and, more companies are doing different things. You recently had a match against Joey Janela, and then you had one against Lee Johnson. Yeah, sorry, it was a blank for me for some reason. How was that? How was wrestling in AEW having some singles matches?
The wrestling for AEW is cool. It's a experience that I don't think a lot of people will be able to say that they got, especially at such a young age, to be able to wrestle for the 2 major companies in the United States. It's really cool, and it's cool to have on your resume. Joey Janela is obviously a great independent professional wrestler. He was a great independent professional wrestler, and he's excelling in AEW, it seems like. And same thing with Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson is more of a homegrown AEW talent. I don't think he has a lot of the indie experience that I have. So it was kind of great to wrestle him on their turf and on their terms. And maybe one day, if Tony Khan lets them, maybe they'll come wrestle me on my terms in some fire hall in Buffalo, New York, or in Yarmouth, Maine, or something like that.
Yeah, because it's very different than your match against Drew Gulak. You actually held your own in both those matches, especially with Lee Johnson. I watched that on Monday. That was an insane match. It was just really cool. Even Big Show called it like real wrestling. In the commentary, they were just amazed with it, as was I. So it's really cool to see you go up against, new talent, different styles. And yeah, I would love to see them pull up an independent scene and go to your home and go to your turf. All right, one more thing is during Mania weekend, you also won another title. You mentioned it before. What was the title you won on Mania weekend?
I didn't win a title Mania weekend.
Was it, did you defend the title on Mania
weekend? Yeah, I did. I defended the Limitless Wrestling Championship and the C4 Wrestling Championship at the same time.
The C4, oh yeah, so how was that match, defending both of them at the same time? Isn't there a lot of pressure going into that?
Yeah, there's always a lot of pressure going into a wrestling match. You're going in there, you go into a ring in front of a bunch of people with somebody who wants to hurt you and somebody who wants to beat you. So, of course, there's a lot of pressure. But I think that I thrive very well under pressure, and I welcome the pressure always. I never back down from it. I never back down from any pressure. And being in the ring with Kevin Koo was good. Kevin Koo is somebody who is very well known as a tag team wrestler, but he's somebody who, in my opinion, is a very good singles wrestler as well. So I'm hoping he gets some recognition for that. And I feel like me defending that title against him and me beating him, but him putting up such a good fight, I think that will show a lot of people how dangerous he can really be as a singles performer.
Awesome. And right now you're in Independence. It'll be any day till you get signed. I know it. I usually have a thing for these type of wrestlers. And you're just killing it in the business every time you're in a ring. Have you decided which company you would like to start off with if you get signed?
No, I don't really I'm about to go on a rant. I don't really like the notion of whoever, if Daniel Garcia got signed. Mm-hmm. It's no, somebody doesn't get signed. Somebody decides to sign somewhere. To me, people put too much pressure on independent wrestlers to sign contracts. And sometimes those people putting pressure on the independent wrestlers to sign contracts, it can kind of belittle everything that they're doing on the independent scene. In my opinion, the things that I'm doing in professional wrestling right now are just as important as anything that's happening on any TV channel across the country. But that could just be me. To me, independent professional wrestling, we are the tastemakers, and we are the people that all of professional wrestling follows. And I think people put a lot of pressure on these people to sign, including myself. And then they get signed, and then people start to care about them less. and the hype of them kind of dies down. So my advice to people is to don't put so much pressure on independent professional wrestlers to sign. Enjoy what they're doing now. Don't rush their process, and enjoy this while you have this.
Oh yeah, my apologies. I didn't mean to give you
Oh,
any
no,
disrespect.
no.
I honestly, I love, and I argue with this all the time, I love independent wrestling more than company wrestling for that exact reason. There's more heart and soul in the indies than you will see in the company. When things are scripted and, with people telling you what to say or do, it's very different. I'm in New York. I know you're Buffalo, New York. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. We have House of Glory here in Queens. I go to those events all the time, and I'd do it again over Mania in New York or SummerSlam in New York any day. So I completely understand what you mean by that. And I loved what you said. You said it perfectly. Let's not rush it. I just hate the fact that someone like you who will get signed and wherever you decide to go to will be amazing. I just want to make sure that you go everywhere. I would love to see you on New Japan Strong with half of the people on that roster that can do, as much as you can in the wrestling ring and have banger matches. Same with NXT, with Tyler Rust, he was insane in the independents. We're not getting a lot of him right now in NXT, but maybe more will come, and it'll be amazing to see another match with you guys, in a different circumstance.
We're kind of at a point now where people get signed right away before I feel like they really reach their true potential and their true growth as a professional wrestler. In years prior, we had people who I feel like they become more of a finished product on the independents, and then they get signed to a major company. Now I feel like people are getting signed before they're even close to being a finished product yet, and before they're even close to developing as a professional wrestler. And I don't know, maybe we'll see in the next couple of years as time goes on if that hurts or helps professional wrestling. I'm not sure yet. I can't tell the future. But only time will tell if that's going to help or hurt professional wrestling. I think it's great for everybody who is signing and for everybody who is deciding to go make a lot of money at a very big place. I think that's great. But I don't think that's for everybody. And I think a lot of people have the same mindset as me right now, to where they would rather develop and go everywhere and become truly be able to find out who they are as a professional wrestler before they go somewhere long term.
All right, I completely agree with you. So, what is there for yourself to find out? Do you know what you're missing, what you want to look for, or is there just experiences more than what you want?
Yeah, I know exactly who I am as a wrestler, and I have a vision about who I want to become and who I want to keep growing as a person and as a wrestler. And to me, the thing that I have to knock off my bucket list now is just experiences. I want the experience of being able to go wrestle in the UK, in Germany, in Japan, in China. I want to be able to go travel the world and gain as much knowledge and gain as much experience as possible before I decide to go sign to a company long term where I can no longer get those experiences.
All right, and I really hope to see it because, like I said, you are a star, and I completely agree with your choices. It's completely understandable, and gives me more chance to watch you in the independents, see what else you can do, and how much more entertainment you can give us until whatever happens, until you decide you want to get signed or work for a company.
Definitely. Thank you for supporting independent wrestling.
Look, it's exactly what it is. It's heart and soul. You're not going to see it on television. You're going to see, the wrestlers try to do their best and entertain the crowd. But when you have someone, puppeting you, it's never going to be 100. It's always going to be 50%, 75%. It's always 100. And again, watching all independent matches, the things you do, like Limitless has all their fans around the ring. You know what I mean? Like I saw your match with fans all over the ring. If you jump, they catch you, stuff like that. We don't have that in company wrestling. They take the real life enthusiasm out of it. But I can rant for that for hours as well. So I'm not gonna do that. Let's talk about your gear. I'm a huge gear guy. I love your gear. Only regular people can pull off gear like that. So tell me, now since you are Red Death, you try to use a lot of red and black and red and gold. You went recently with silver and gold, as we saw in AEW, and we saw it before in a couple other matches. Are you going to solely leave the red? Are you trying to get out of the red a little bit?
It's really not that deep. It's just I got sick of just wearing red and black all the time. I was wearing the same gear like as my main gear for like the past couple of years. And I just wanted to change. I wanted something different from red and black. I wanted something special for Mania Week. So for Mania Week, I got the burnt orange gear with the reflective straps on it and like silver and gray, and it just felt right for Mania Week. It felt like a big match gear type of thing. I had the logo for the wrestling school that I trained at on my right knee pad, my area code on my left knee pad. If you know me, you know how important Buffalo is to me and that wrestling school is to me. So I just wanted to be able to show kind of more of myself in my wrestling gear, and something a little more fashionable as well. There's a lot of hidden details in the gear that you can pick up on if you get a closer look at them.
I'll make sure to do that. I'll make sure to, when I have some time, to look at that. I knew it was the area code. I didn't understand the logo. Now it makes sense. So, that's really cool. It's really cool they decided to go for a different look. But tell me why you decided to keep that look. Like your style, your ring gear, why just decide to keep it like that with the high socks, with the wrestling boots? It's, very unique, and not a lot of people do it, so it's really cool.
It's just what I like. It's what I feel comfortable in. It's I think you go out to wrestle, and I don't think I'd feel comfortable wearing long tights. I sweat a lot. I get really hot. I get very moist in my matches. I feel like I would be very uncomfortable and itchy if I wore anything super long. If I wore anything too baggy, I think that could be a hazard. I think that gives people more of an opportunity to grab onto my shorts. Mm-hmm. So I just try to wear something as minimal as possible, something that doesn't give a lot of people an opportunity to mess with or grab onto or anything. I just want to stay super tight and super compact in my matches. And beyond that, just from a aesthetic standpoint, I think that something really important about my look in wrestling is that when you're watching me wrestle, I'm a pretty average looking dude. I'm not super muscular. I don't have any tattoos. But I think that kind of works in my favor. I think when people see me wrestle, the first thing that they have to notice about me is my wrestling. They're not noticing my body first. They're not noticing any crazy haircut. They're not noticing any tattoo that I have. The first thing that you have to acknowledge about me is how good I am in the ring. And I'll live and die by that. And that's something I choose to carry as a burden. The first thing I'm going to be judged on is my professional wrestling, and that's the first thing that anybody will ever notice about me when I'm in the ring.
And that's why, I love watching you, just because of how respectful you are in that sense and just how smart you are when it comes to strategy, when it comes to wrestling, especially the way you do. It's easy for someone to grab onto your, baggy pants or any other mistakes that can happen in the ring. So it's really awesome you decided to keep it like that. Really cool. I mentioned the Blade, you guys had a match. Is there any other matches that you think were definitely amazing and you want other people to check it out? People who don't know who you are, people who are watching this for the first time, who maybe have no clue who you are, just living in a bubble with company wrestling. Is there any matches that you would recommend them to check out that are 5-star matches or just matches that are good in your heart?
Yeah, I've been on a crazy, if I do say so myself, I've been on a crazy run at Limitless Wrestling lately. I feel like every time I step in a Limitless Wrestling ring, it's a match of the year candidate every single time. My match was against Christian Casanova. I have 2 there in the past couple months against Lee Moriarty. I have 1 against JD Drake. They're all very big matches and matches with very high stakes. And I feel like those are the matches that right now, it probably changes every single day, but those are the matches that I'm most proud of. They're my most recent matches, and they're the ones that I think will give you the best idea of who I am as a professional wrestler.
All right, awesome. And one thing I wanted to ask you is, you're so smooth in the ring. You obviously had a lot of experience in there. How was it in your first ever match? How were you nervous? What were you wearing at the time as your first ever wrestling in front of an audience match?
Yeah, of course I was nervous. I still get nervous before my matches. Imagine how nervous I would be walking in front of a crowd for the first time. I was wearing orange gear. It was my trainers. I was wearing orange gear, my shooter wrestling shoes, my white Adidas ones that just broke on me. In the past month, I had to get new shoes finally. And black kick pads. When they didn't belong to me, they were my trainer, Mikey Everynight, my original trainer, and I wrestled him, and it was magical night.
Awesome, awesome. Tell me about the first time time stood still to you. In a wrestler's journey, there's always been a one moment where you take the longest pause. And I believe in that. I believe that there is, at times one of these moments where it just gets really quiet and you feel reality hit. Is there any moment that hit you there in your wrestling career so far?
Mm.
Hey, we're asking all the hard questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question. I think most of my matches, I'm pretty locked in, and I'm pretty focused on the task of finishing the wrestling match. So I feel like a lot of the times when I wrestle, I don't get the opportunity to kind of take it all in. And I feel like, no, actually, I do have one. It was kind of recently too, and I don't think it's something that people would expect. Like, I think a lot of the time people would expect that is at like some big company or against like a huge opponent, but it was me, Lee Moriarty, Trey Lamar in a triple threat match at this company called OWA or OI. I think it's OWA in Columbus, Ohio. It's on IWTV, and it was a triple threat match. We all hold titles. I'm a world champion. Lee was IWTV champion at the time, and Trey Lamar was champion at the time too. And Jay Rose, he's a ring announcer, independent ring announcer. And I remember we were the main event, and he was announcing us, and it just felt like I can't even explain the feeling. But I remember like saying to Lee and Trey, like let's do this. Like, I love this. I don't know what it was about that moment, but I felt so ready, and I was just really proud of. You hear so many people say the indies are dead, but in that moment, I was so proud of me and other independent wrestlers about how we kind of were able to flip the script and change people's opinion on independent professional wrestling over the past year.
That's 100%.
I think that's why I felt like that, because in my mind, I was like, dang, like me and Lee and Trey, we are like three of the top independent professional wrestlers in the world. And we're all young and we're all hungry and we're all sharing this moment together. And I think that was something that really meant a lot to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I totally, again, 100% agree with you. You guys are the future, and you guys are all people talk about when it comes to the independent scene. I never heard the phrase independence is dead, but, if you're hearing that, it's very wrong.
You hear it all. I hear it all the time. People on Twitter always say indies are dead, everybody's signed. But I think those people just aren't watching hard enough, or even paying attention at all. I think that the people that they just like and support decided to sign major contracts. So they think that all of indie wrestling is dead, when that's not the case at all. There's still plenty of people that you haven't seen. And there's still plenty of people who are becoming new professional wrestlers every single day, people who are great.
Oh, yeah, that's why, this podcast is here. We love to interview independent wrestlers, and we love to interview them at their best, which is this moment right here. Because when you get signed, not always, but you lose that spark of that energy in the ring and full of the crowd. I've heard it from many wrestlers that when they get released or get out, that spark was missing from when they signed. And then when they come back, it's completely different energy, different circumstance, and everything else. Did you freeze on? Hello?
Oh, no. I'm still here.
Oh, no. You did freeze on my thing for a second. That's why. All right. So my next question would be, you wrestled a lot of people already. There's still so many guys you mentioned. How many wrestlers have you had a match with this year, if you can name? Like not name every wrestler, but like a number.
I'm really not sure. I could probably look it up on Cage Match. You just go on Cage Match, Daniel Garcia. It's like the database for all wrestlers. I think it probably has my number for the year on there.
And you wrestle almost every week, or is it literally every week?
Yeah, I wrestle pretty much every weekend at the moment.
How is traveling with COVID? How is it like? Can you go far or not really?
Yeah, I mean, it stung for a while. I mean, I couldn't wrestle for a couple months. But starting to pick back up. You just got to wear a mask at the airport, and you're good to go.
All right, awesome. And, like I said, you wrestled a lot of guys. Is there anyone that you haven't wrestled yet that you want to wrestle? It could be people that, were in companies and now are free agents, or it could be just guys who are in the independents that you just really want to get in the ring with.
The big one for me now is Wheeler Yuta. He's somebody who I've had my eyes on for a while. And he's somebody who I feel like our paths are kind of paralleling in a very good way, but also in different directions. We're parallel in different directions, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And he holds the IWTV title. That's a title that I want. It's something that I want for myself and to show everybody that I really run independent wrestling right now. I'm the king of it. And I want that title to show everybody. And I want to beat him for it. I didn't beat Lee Moriarty for the IWTV title, but I beat him when he had the IWTV title before Wheeler Yuta did. So I think that I'm basically already the IWTV champion, and I just need the actual hardware to show it.
I hope you get it. I really do hope you get it. You know, when you get it. I can't wait to see when you get it, because I know you're going to get it. Is there anyone else other than Yuta that you want to see or wrestle? It could be anybody, honestly. Just people to get people, you know, to tweet. The whole point is where social media is
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar? All right.
Brock Lesnar. Andrade, he just got released. That'd be cool to wrestle him. Samoa Joe. I don't know if he's taking indie bookings. But yeah, Brock Lesnar is my dream match. So I don't think he's currently signed to a company. If he ever wants to take an indie booking and come wrestle in a fire hall in Buffalo, New York, I'd be more than happy to test my iron against him.
We'll get people to tweet it out. I don't even know if he has a Twitter, but we'll get people to tweet out that match. General Garcia versus Brock Lesnar for the Limitless Championship.
I had a dream about it the other day. He is my dream match. I've said that for years, and I had a dream about it the other day. I was wrestling him in my dream, and I had him in a guillotine choke, and I almost had him.
Almost.
I'm not joking.
Wait, you didn't win in your own dream?
I can't remember how the match turned out, but I remember in the dream I had him in a guillotine choke.
You know, I'm shocked. Because in your dream, you're controlling it. You can control your dream. Literally anything happens the way you want it.
It was a tight choke. I mean, I might have beat him. I can't remember.
Who got knocked out again?
What?
Who got knocked out? Who got unconscious again?
I don't know. I just remember I had him in a choke. That's all I remember. I had him.
Oh, that's hilarious. Man, no, I really, again, like, that would be a sick match with you versus Brock Lesnar. You guys, again, same wrestling style, very technical guys. You know, he had a Kimura lock, you know, anything can happen there. What's your favorite match of Brock Lesnar's? If he's like your favorite wrestling dream match opponent?
Oh, he's not my favorite wrestler, but he's my dream match. You said my favorite match of his?
Yeah.
Probably against Daniel Bryan at was that Survivor Series?
The most recent one when Daniel Bryan came back, or?
Yeah, where he was like knocked out and then he hit him with that kick.
Yeah, Survivor Series, yeah.
Favorite Brock Lesnar match.
All right, and who's your favorite wrestler? Since you know I did bring that up. If you have one? Again, I hate asking this question because it's like there's never a real answer. But since I already kind of brought it up,
probably Sasha Banks.
All right, what makes you like Sasha? Any kind of style, anything like attitude-wise or wrestling ability?
I think she's the total package. She's somebody who will go down in history as top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time. I really think that. She's incredibly creative, and all of her matches feel like they're very high stakes, and all of them feel very big. And that's something that I admire about her.
All right, awesome. All right, one more thing I want to ask you, you know, before we get to a whole other subject, is since you were on NXT, did you get any experience from being through company wrestling? Did you talk to any people, or did you train in the performance center? Was there any kind of, you know, backstage mentality that you used that they put through you, or was it just one match that you were given?
I got to pass on that question.
No problem. All right. So my next question would be, you have big goals. Any other goals for Limitless Wrestling? Any other opportunities you want as you're with that company or per show?
I want to keep holding the title. I think Maine just kind of opened up these past couple days. I think they opened up this week. So maybe soon we'll be able to get some fans in there. And I know when fans come back, that place is going to be roaring. And that place is going to be rocking. And they're going to boo me out of that building. So I want to wrestle the people that those fans love the most. And I want to beat them in front of everybody.
All right.
I don't know. Like, hey, maybe it's Wheeler Yuta. Maybe I beat him for the IWTV title.
Let's hope, but let's tweet that out. Let's make sure we tweet that out for the next...
Maybe it's Brock Lesnar.
Well, we're definitely going to tweet him out. We're definitely going to see. People are definitely going to tweet him out after this. I can promise you that. Speaking of Twitter, social media, we had JT Dunn on, I believe, last week, and he actually challenged you. We asked the same question where it's like, who do you want to face? And he brought you up. Is there anything you'd want to say to him? As when I put this up, I'll like make it a small clip.
I'm not hard to find. I mean, JT is fantastic. He is an incredible wrestler. He hits extremely hard. He's a veteran. He's quick. He's strong. He's smart, but he's not the best independent professional wrestler in the world like me. And I think you can be great all you want. There's a lot of wrestlers who are great, but things that separate people who are great from being the best are little unattainable things that I think a lot of people can't reach that I've been able to reach. And I'm very grateful for that. So, I mean, if JT really wants a match that bad, like I said, I'm not hard to find. I wrestle every single weekend across the country. Hit somebody up, make it happen. I'm not a booker. I'm not paying somebody to come in and wrestle. So if you want to wrestle me, hey, ask a promoter. Get it to happen. I'll be more than happy to wrestle him. He's somebody who was mentored by one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Chris Hero. So I feel like beating him, maybe that'll lead to a match with Chris Hero. Maybe I beat his boy up. Maybe Chris Hero will come through and I'll get to wrestle him. So I can use JT Dunn, not taking him lightly, but maybe as a stepping stone to be able to wrestle Chris Hero.
Again, with this smart strategy you have, that every match you go with the strategy, don't you?
Yeah, like this is a sport. You got to have strategy in a sport. I'm my own coach.
Awesome. So, you've been wrestling on AEW almost every week on like Dark and any the other shows they have going on. I forgot which one. I forgot what that one is called. One on Mondays. It's also Dark, but then it's another one. Elevation. Man, I'm losing it today. But is anyone else on AEW that you want to face on that roster? I know it's such a vague question, but with you, being with most of those guys at the Indies, mostly you've versed a lot of those guys. Is there anyone that you would want to get in the match with?
I'm blanking. I'm really blanking. For some reason, I can't think of anybody on the AEW roster right now. Will Hobbs. I really want to wrestle Will Hobbs. I'm a big fan of his. I think Will Hobbs is incredibly powerful. He's somebody who is extremely intense, and I feel like I'm one of the only wrestlers in the world who will be able to match that intensity of his. And because I have a game plan going into every match, I think I'll have the perfect game plan to be able to take him out.
All right,
and Pop.
And Pop. So for me, like I would love to see you versus Danny Limelight. Both you guys were in the Indies for a long time. Also Ricky Starks. I think you would have amazing matches with those guys. Not giving you just the light heavyweights. I definitely think you can go against big guys. I just think those guys are at the same quickness ability. Fast, quick pace matches like you and Lee Johnson had, which was again phenomenal. Everyone should definitely check that one out.
Yeah, and I would like to wrestle Lee again someday too. We're two people who are very young, and I think that we are two people who, although we're on different paths, and we have different goals. I think we're two people who will be the future of independent or the future of wrestling in general as years go on.
Awesome. Have you ever decided any interest to wrestle for Impact? Not get signed, but wrestle for Impact. Is anyone in Impact that you would like to wrestle?
I always love wrestling Josh Alexander. He always brings the best out of me.
I loved your match. I loved your match with Josh. When you took off it was insane. I love that match.
Yeah, I would love to mix it up with him again. TJP, I think, would be really cool.
You never wrestled TJP yet?
No.
You guys did have an insane technical match. That's all he's got. Wow.
Chris Bay would be really interesting for me. I think I have a good game plan for him. I think Impact, they have a very unique roster. And I feel like there's a lot of people there that I would put on very entertaining matches with.
We definitely need to see you versus Josh again. Now that he's X Division champion, why not go there, take a title, and hold on with another championship?
Who knows? Maybe.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How was it, originally wrestling Josh? The way he was very known at the time. How was it getting in the ring with him? Because again, he's also very technical, very brutal. How was that match?
He's somebody who I've watched for years. Josh Alexander is a wrestling legend, in my opinion. If you tell him that, he'll probably hit you and say he's not, but he really is. He's somebody who is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I don't say that lightly. So being able to wrestle him, it's a great learning experience, and I feel like a part of me is definitely left in that C4 wrestling ring from when I wrestled Josh Alexander.
Awesome. And my final question to you would be, what would be next? Like you said, you want to go against Wheeler Yuta. That's something. But what is currently scheduled for you? What is the next place you're going to be at? Or because I know I just saw you posted on your social media, they're going to be at another event. You have another match. What's the next thing where people can definitely check out, watch, and just follow along to your story?
It's going to be a busy summer. I have stuff booked all the way through the summer.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
I'm gonna thank you. I'm gonna be in the SCI tournament in August. I have the Paradigm and ICW weekend coming up in July. I think I'm going to Puerto Rico next month for wrestling. So I don't even know my schedule. I have to look at my notes app every single weekend to see what I have coming up. But a lot of big things and a lot of proving why I'm the best independent wrestler on the planet.
Any new championship matches coming up? Any new titles shots you're getting?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to wrestle for titles when I have them all. It's hard to find new ones to wrestle for.
That's awesome. Perfectly said. How can people follow you? How can people support you? Buy merch, just follow you on social media platforms, anything.
Twitter is at Garcia Wrestling, and same thing with Instagram. I have some merch out. You just have to DM me for it, and I'll hit you with my PayPal or Venmo or whatever. And that's how you can get merch for me right now.
Awesome. All right. And if there's, again, just because of your experience, because of your story, is there anything that you can tell the fans who, ever had an obstacle get in their way, and how can they overcome that obstacle? Or anything that you can say to make it easier?
Follow God's plan. I mean, everything happens for a reason. Nothing is on accident. Even though something may seem like it's the worst thing in the world, I promise you, something can always be worse. And somebody's always going through something worse than you are. So just feel grateful for what you have and what you're going through, no matter what you're going through. And brighter days will always be ahead. I really think that you just have to weather the storm. Once you weather the storm, good things and blessings will be ahead of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for listening. See you guys next time.